Tanjiro Komodo says goodbye to his family as they see him leave. He carried a basket of coals and went to the village at the foot of the hill. Upon arrival, the villagers happily greet him and thank him for his help in selling coal. His basket was empty in nightfall. Time to go up the mountain through the snow. He was stopped at his feet by an elderly man who offered him a place to stay. Too dangerous. Doesn't he know that demons hunt at night? Tanjiro thought of his grandmother who spoke of demons, but assured him that his keen sense of smell would protect him in a blizzard. However, he will not accept rejection and Tanjiro is forced to accept. He climbed the mountain. Tanjiro noticed the smell of blood as he approached his family's home the next morning. In a panic, he rushed over, only to find that his worst nightmare had come true. His family was butchered. The door was open and blood stained the freshly fallen snow. His sister Nezuko was the only one still warm. He picked her up and planned to find a doctor. Suddenly, Nezuko went into a strange animal state. They were clearly no longer human, but it was hard for them to fall off the cliff into the snow. When he woke up, Nezuko attacked him. Tanjiro tries to communicate with her sister. The evil in her eyes disappears in an instant and she begins to cry as a new swordsman appears. Tanjiro attacked the two and pushed him away. The swordsman was enraged and demanded to know why he was protecting the demon. Tanjiro explained that it was his sister. But the young swordsman did not understand. He desperately tried to convince her that there was a different smell to the place and that his sister didn't eat people. He insists that he will find a way to transform her back, but the swordsman told him it was irreversible. Tanjiro knelt down and begged him to let her go as he put his sword to her throat. Thinking of his family, the swordsman scolds Tanjiro, saying that his weakness will only cost him his life. As a result of his failure, his sister was trapped and he was unable to protect her. Burning with anger, Tanjiro stood up and launched a frontal psychic attack. He threw a stone at the swordsman and attacked him directly with an axe. But the swordsman knocked him out before he could strike, but the axe was missing, and suddenly the axe was stuck in the tree next to the swordsman's head. Impressed by Tanjiro, who distracts him with rocks after he is unconscious and punches him, Nezuko breaks out and approaches her unconscious brother, but instead of devouring him, she turned to the swordsman to protect him. The swordsman drew his sword and knocked Nezuko unconscious, deciding to spare them both. When Tanjiro wakes up, he finds his bamboo moth sister by his side. The ghost slayer told him to find an old man who lived at the foot of Archer Mountain and mention his name. He also warned her not to expose her sisters to the sun. After the swordsman disappeared, on the way to Mount Sagati, Tanjiro bought a basket, a piece of straw and bamboo from a farmer and made them into backpacks for his sisters so they could travel during the day without worrying about the sun. As night fell, the two stopped at a temple. Climbing the stairs, Tanjiro smelled blood and found a demon inside. The demon feeds on the corpse and turns to attack and defend its territory. Tanjiro narrowly avoids slitting the demon's throat with his axe, suppressing her appetite. Nezuko ran to save her brother and kicked the demon in the head. Cleanse and believe the demon is dead. When Tanjiro was surprised, this is how the body begins. Self-healing severed heads keep talking and even grow hands. He nailed the demon's head to a tree with his axe as he attacked the corpse and dragged it unconscious down the cliff, but his sister pulled him back before he fell when a masked man appeared behind him and said he couldn't kill the demon. The masked man thought he might be too merciful to kill even demons. The man introduced himself and Tanjiro guessed that this was the person he had been sent to find. Although he doesn't believe Tanjiro has what it takes to be a demon hunter, he trusts his old apprentice and decides to test him. After running back home at the foot of the hill, Wardo Kadaki told him that this is where the real test begins. He struggled to follow the masked man up the hill until he suddenly stops. If Tanjiro can return before sunrise, he will agree to train him. Piece of cake, right? As he made his way down the mountain, Tanjiro soon discovered that the entire mountain was trapped. It will be much more difficult than he imagined. After a night of agony dodging traps, the Tanjiro barely made it down in time. Sunrise time, Odo Kadaki remembers Gyo's letter and agrees to train the boy and take care of his demon sister. He has to climb down the hill to start training. As each takedown became easier, the traps became more deadly until he was allowed to carry a sword, which helped but hindered. He is not used to being overweight. The man then taught him how to use a sword in battle. He teaches Tanjiro a special breathing technique called concentrated breathing and promises to show him how to use his specialty, all 10 forms of water breathing. For the next 6 months, He practiced everything the man taught him, but he could only scratch the surface. Frustrated, Tanjiro looks up to see a boy wearing a fox mask appear on the boulder and tells him to stop complaining. The boy jumped off the boulder, let him rush to him and laughed. When Tanjiro worried that the boy only had one wooden sword, it was apparently more than enough. He reproaches Tanjiro for not having learned anything. Mere repetition from memory does not make one a master. He must ingrain these lessons into his body so that he never forgets them until they become second nature. After he knocks Tanjiro unconscious, he says he'll leave the rest to a little girl who shows up when Tanjiro wakes up. The girl introduces herself as Makomo and the boy as Sabito. She stressed the importance of focusing on the breath and told him that only then could he truly master it. That means exercising until it kills him. For the next 6 months, he did just that. Well, he stopped before it killed him. One day, Tanjiro is convinced that he will finally defeat the Zombie Nation one-on-one. They sprint towards each other. It was over in an instant. Tanjiro's blade tore through Zobi's mask, revealing a smile underneath. He is finally ready. The next thing he knew, the two mysterious children were gone. He cut open not the mask, but the boulder. Tanjiro attributes his success to finding the starting line. As he begins to rise, it turns out to be a thread that leads his blade into the opening. Oda Kodaki appeared behind him and admitted that he thought the stone was impossible to cut down. He made it a goal because he didn't want another student to die. Final choice, and he has nothing left to teach. But this is not the end of his troubles, only the beginning. Oda Kuroki tells Tanjiro that demons gain power in proportion to the number of people they eat, and some gain the ability to use blood magic. As he leaves, Tanjiro tells him to greet the two children he met, surprising Orokarachi. How could he know the dead man's name? Reaching the final selection, Tanjiro was struck by the off-season wisteria around the hill. A pair of twin girls explain how the demon hates the flower, and that is why they are trapped in the mountain. Whoever survives 7 days among them will pass the final selection. On the first day, a demon fell from the sky, but got into a fight with another demon that appeared, and Tanjiro killed them both. At the same time, they all turned to ash. Just as Oda Kodaki explains to Nietzsche the demon slayer about the only thing that can kill demons other than the sun, Tanjiro smells a terrible smell and hears the screams of the other candidates. He turns to see them being chased by a giant demon. Seeing it devour another applicant, Dan Guido stepped in to save the other applicant. The demon becomes enraged after asking if they are in the same era. Realizing how long it had been trapped in the mountain, it admitted that it had eaten at least 50 demon slayers, including 13 of Oda Kodaki's students. He attacks them because it was Oda Kodaki who imprisoned him in the mountain 47 years ago. When the demon describes Makomo and Sabito, Tanjiro is shocked to learn that they are dead and that the demon is the cause. The demon uses his emotions against him, causing Tanjiro to lose control and attack him. Makomo worried in anger if Tanzatang could win. Zobian couldn't be sure, but he was the one who cut the biggest stone. Tanjiro hit his head. Demon, Tanjiro put his head on the demon's arm and ran along it, closer than the demon could imagine. Though he didn't worry, his neck was very thick, almost as thick as his skull. Tanjiro uses water to breathe and cuts off the demon's head. With the surface of the water cut off, Tanjiro approached the demon's rapidly disappearing figure, felt a sad breath, stretched out his hand, and begged not to become a demon in the next life. In the mist, Tanjiro sees the souls of all the other less fortunate students finally resting in peace for the next few days. And Tanjiro tries to figure out a way to restore his sister to her original self, but none of the demons he asked answered or were even willing to answer. 7 days later, Tanjiro returns to the shrine they started from and is surprised to find that only 4 people have survived. The final casting of the twins explained that there are 10 characters. They start with the lowest, Mizunoto. Each of them was assigned a raven to communicate with. 3 crows and a sparrow. One of the boys asked for his Nietzsche Dinkaton and was even angrier that he had to wait 15 days for it to be forged from why they choose for themselves. Meanwhile, a man is told by a red-bearded crow that there are 5 survivors in total. Exhausted, Tanjiro trudges back to Oda Kodaki's to find Nezuko awake. It is the first time since they arrived. Oro Kodaki saw the two and hugged them. He assumed that Nezuko could regain her strength by sleeping instead of eating people. After 15 days, the Tanjiro Katana sword is finally ready to start his role as a demon slayer. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please show us love in your own way.